welcome to Geula Mamas, your place for everything pregnancy, birth, and babies. I'm Chavah Goodman. I am a midwife, doula, childbirth educator, mommy, and safta, and welcome to Geula Mamas. I'm joined today by Chavah BenZion, originally from California. Hi! She is a midwife and doula with over 2 decades of experience. She's a mother of 4 children, Baruch Hashem. She currently lives in Tzfat, where she has a private practice guiding, encouraging, and supporting women before, during, and after their births. And this is so exciting. How are you, Chavah?
I'm really well. Thanks so much for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting to have you. We're going to learn so much, and we're going to have so much fun along the way.
It's actually my first time doing this.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is going to be fun. And I'm already excited to have you back, and we haven't even started. So
that's the right attitude.
Right? Before we jump in, I would love to hear, how did you get interested? How did you get started in midwifery? Was this something that you always dreamed of doing when you were a little girl?
Actually, no. When anyone would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would always sort of default to artist, because I knew I had a creative part of me, and I assumed, something artistic, something with people. I guess in a way it kind of worked out that way. When I was 20, my best friend was pregnant, and as a single mom, she didn't have a whole lot of support from family, but we were good friends, and she hired 2 midwives to help her with her birth. She was really positive, and she said, I'd like you to come to my birth. And I said, I don't know anything about that. I'm a kid. And she says, no, we're just going to hang out. We're going to eat. We're going to snack. We're going to nosh. We're going to watch reruns of, I think she said, we're going to watch reruns of Star Wars. So I said, I can do that. So I came to her house, and she, we labored together, and we ate popcorn and we watched movies. And then the midwives took us out. We walked all around the neighborhood. And it was midnight, and it was just this beautiful memory, and she ended up having an amazing home birth, and I got really inspired, and I went on to think, this might be something I actually want to. I don't think it was at that point that I decided I wanted to be a midwife, but I was really intrigued. And then another friend had a baby, and I went to her birth, and another friend, and I just started attending births, and I started studying. And then as I got a little more mature, I realized, wait a minute, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So fast forward.
I don't know anyone who has been invited to births as a young single woman. I mean, your story
I know
led you down that path. That's amazing.
It was definitely ashgacha, divine providence, and I'm still going. So, and that was 22 years ago. So more than half my life. But what happened was, as I matured, I took it more seriously. Like at first it was just, I think a new midwife or a new doula, it's very, the experience of being at a birth is compelling, it's powerful, it's moving, it's, I guess for lack of better words, kind of magical. There's an atmosphere, there's an ambiance that's really compelling. And for me, I'm really attracted to intensity, and I like drama, and I like connection. And those are the things I love about midwifery, which is why I think I love being a doula as much as a midwife, because for me, it's not about catching the baby. The catching the baby part, that's easy. It's not about that.
Yeah. I always feel like the Shemayim is like opening, and there's just this like tear in the heavens, and the baby comes into the world, and it's such a privilege to be there, right?
Yes. The stork drops the baby through the tear in Shemayim, right?
There you go. So you have an amazing Facebook group called Ask a Midwife, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So basically what it started out was just, how did it start? Actually, this is actually something I haven't thought about in a while, but since you asked, I started something called Women of Valor. And it was actually kind of my first attempt at doing something for other people through the internet. I mean, not my first attempt, but I had this whole idea that I would raise funds for women who were, I saw women as working really, really hard and not getting the support they needed. And so I was trying to raise money so women who were, the women who most need the care were the least likely to actually purchase it for themselves. So I was trying to get women massages and extra care. And it was hard to raise money for women to get massages. But out of that came the Ask a Midwife, where part of this whole idea was that I created a space where online, where women could come and ask me questions. And I just thought, I made Aliyah. I immigrated to Israel when I was already 30. I spoke no Hebrew, and we didn't have any family here, still don't. And I became pregnant, and after having had, almost a decade of midwifery experience in America, I felt that my experience as a midwife and a doula, but yet as a pregnant woman in Israel, was so isolating, and there wasn't the support that I needed. And I thought, I'm a midwife and I feel this way. I went into a doctor's office, and he takes my card, and he doesn't ask me anything. He doesn't offer me any advice. He doesn't ask me anything. There's no support. And I thought, this is really bad. So I just made like a Facebook group, and I said, okay, ask me. If you want to ask me questions about your pregnancy, I want to show, and the reason I wanted to do it in a public forum is because I thought that by seeing how the dialogue, the dialogue between the midwife and the woman in live action, so to speak, they would see that it's not just about saying, okay, I have a pain here, and then the midwife or doctor says, okay, that's this problem, and you need to take this medicine, or you need to go see this specialist. It's a process of questioning, and I think for every question that someone asked me, I probably asked the person 10 questions. So I wanted people to see in the format of Facebook. I like it because people can see the question and the answer, and it's easy to see. And then I wanted to kind of create a standard for like women to think, oh wait, this is the kind of care that I want. And when women get intrigued about, when they get inspired about the kind of care they really want, then they are more inclined to seek it out. So that's the basis for Ask a Midwife. And I think it's been like 4 or 5 years now. And I've developed a website and trying to get, now I have members from all over the world. I get women in Ghana and, Philippines. I've had conversations in Tagalog, like, Facebook messaging with using Google Translate and helping women who are like on remote islands. And I'm telling you, it's bizarre. The things that I have experienced just by putting myself out there, it's really fun. And I don't, the way that just real quick, okay, maybe you go on and ask me questions, because I have a way of just going, so you can steer me.
There we go. We are back. That was a little bit of Geula Mama mommying. Okay. So as we were saying, your rambling is great, because you're rambling about amazing information that we really want to know. So this is really, really good stuff. So going back a little bit though, because both of us have a background in midwifery, and then both of us made Aliyah, and we've seen the differences where we were both you were in, what did you say, America, Canada? Where were you?
In the States, in California.
Oh, you were in California, that's right. So I was practicing in Florida. And
okay.
One of the things that I also loved was the well women care, taking care of the whole pregnancy, even sometimes before the pregnancy and during the birth and then afterwards. And the same thing for me. When it came time to just start catching babies, I said, I don't really like this part so much. It's just technical. I like the whole package. And I think you and I are going to start working really hard together now that we've met to change things in Israel. That would be the best, right?
Something about changing things is I've noticed that, you can't interest anyone in a service, in a product, in an experience, an idea, if you can't demonstrate it and describe it. And I think what happens, and that's back to the Ask a Midwife, but really it's bigger, much, much bigger than that, is if you can't show what it's supposed to look like or even name it, you can't sell it or interest people. People won't, you're like, yeah, there's this really great thing. It's called prenatal care. It's called the midwifery model of care. And it has to do with the midwife and the woman. They have a relationship based on trust and a mutual understanding.
So you had said that we have a mutual, and that's when you were frozen. It was about
so that we're talking about the midwifery model of care and how what the midwifery model of care is based on is the mutual trust and mutual understanding, respect. It's a relationship, it's a connection where the woman and the midwife work together throughout the pregnancy to build this connection. And the care is based on the individual woman and not on, cookie cutter, everyone gets the same. Some women need a lot more time, some women need less time, some women need, I could go on. Okay. Well,
I agree.
what I was saying.
Also, when I was in America, I mean, most people I knew didn't have this midwifery model of care. But where I learned and the way we would practice it, it was so special because by the time you got to someone's birth, you had met their husband, their family, you may have made a home
Yeah.
visit or they came to the birth center and you knew
Yeah.
their culture, right? You knew their fears, you knew their background, you knew everything about them so intimately that the birth of not only was it just absolutely exciting because you were already like family with this person, but you could understand,
Yeah.
right? You can understand if she says something almost without a word or she just makes a certain gesture, you know what's going on right away, right?
Right.
You can help her and you could even get her if there was something wrong, you could get her into a hospital situation. We were able, right? We were able to call the hospital and say, I'm bringing you
Yeah.
in. They would have everything ready and it would be much faster than in a hospital situation, right? In a hospital situation, the nurse has to decide there's a problem. She has to then call the doctor who has to decide there's a problem. She's not going to bother the doctor for no reason. So we were able to get ladies in to get an emergency care, which is extremely rare, but so much faster just because we knew them, right?
Right. Right. And there's a system in place. In generally, there's a system, and right. Whereas rather than here, where each, like you said, I would just be repeating what you said, is rather than having to go take her through each professional having to make their own assessment, I would just bring the woman right in. But like you said, it's very rare. If in a planned home birth situation, transporting a woman for an emergency is extremely rare. I always like to say, just on this topic, a lot of people don't understand what home birth actually is. They think it's like, the barefoot midwife coming in with sticks of incense and chanting and oh, let's just hope for this. And if we just, massage her and give her enough, I don't know, love and chanting, then she'll give birth naturally. No, what it is most of the transports for a home birth are non-emergency transports, which is a completely different thing. Women always, I've gotten over the years lots of questions like, what do you do if she needs a C-section? Like, yeah, well, we just put her on the kitchen table and, no, I'm just kidding. No, really, the truth is people don't understand what can even go wrong in a birth, and they don't understand the kind of care, because the thing is their standard is like the doctor comes in at the last minute and catches the baby. So they're taking their idea of birth and they're superimposing it over what they assume we do at home. It's a completely different experience. Like you said, exactly, when we arrive at the woman's home, we already know her, intimately. We know her fears. We know her history. We know her, what she experienced the first time, the second time, the third time. We know her risks, and she's low risk, or we wouldn't be doing it at home. We have a relationship with her husband. We understand that she has the support. We've prepared her, and it takes hours and hours and hours and days and weeks really to prepare a woman properly. Some women call me in Israel and they say, oh, hi, I just got your number and I really want a home birth. And I say, okay, let's talk about it. How many weeks are you? How far along? Oh, I'm in the middle of my 9th month. And I think, and I realize that people don't understand what a midwife does. And let me just be so bold as to kind of go into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and that is,
Go back for a moment because
sure.
You were in California, I was in Florida, but there are many states, even in America, that there's no access to this type of care.
That's correct.
Laws. I had one of my babies in New York, and we had to do everything in secret. It was completely illegal. So
yes, I've heard that about New York, unfortunately. So the thing is this:
anything goes. In some states, right, a barefoot midwife can come in, and it's like, okay, you don't need a license, you don't need training, so
you don't need shoes or a license.
You don't need shoes or anything, right? And I mean, we would come with, or what is that, like 3 big bags of, everything a midwife would need.
Tons of equipment. Yeah.
It's almost every.
And I would almost never use it. So let me just real quickly, what you said is true. There are many states and many places where women don't have access to this type of care. That is true. But one of the main things that sets the experience that women in Israel are having, apart from the experience that many women in America are having, is that you have in America a doctor or a midwife. But okay, let's just say most of the women have a doctor. You have your doctor, or he has or she has a practice, of a group of doctors. But nevertheless, if there's a problem in the pregnancy, if there's a concern, if there's a fear of there's a problem, whatever, there's someone to call. Okay, maybe it still takes some time to get in to see them, but you can page them. There's someone to call. There is someone to contact. There's someone on the other end of the line who knows you and at least has access to your chart. And we don't have that. Anyway, not that I'm not trying to draw attention to the, like what we don't have. I'm trying to build up what we need. But in terms of recognizing that that is very unique, and that there isn't actually any. I've checked it out in a lot of different countries in the world, and most countries in the world have most developed. I guess you call it first world, and you still call it first world. Is it more developed countries? I don't know what you call it now, but in modern societies, most times women have, trying to be PC here, come on, most women have somebody that is their care provider. So that's what I'm saying.
Right. But on the other hand, what I do like about Israel is that you have, at least in the hospital, it's still much more natural. It's much more midwifery based.
Completely.
Yeah. So there's kind of like,
yeah,
but
it's a balance, right?
And
if you can get through the pregnancy with the support and extra support from other places like a doula or a private midwife or a friend or, family support, you can make it to the birth. You have an amazing chance of having a great normal birth and be supported. And the midwives in the hospital I work, that I'm affiliated with, I guess, I don't work for a hospital, but I work in a hospital here in Svat, and they're amazing. And I have endlessly good things to say about most everybody that works there. My women have had amazing births there, but and very well supported, very oriented towards birth is a physiological process of the body. Most of the time it proceeds without problem. It's not an inherently dangerous experience, and that's an important attitude in a care provider. It's a big deal, makes a difference.
Here, I mean, the midwives have been completely open to things from darkening the room, putting on candles, funny positions, do headstands, do whatever you want to do, leaving you alone. I had one experience where this woman, the midwife was trying to push her to get an epidural, and she didn't want an epidural.
Okay.
And the whole ward was silent. You could hear that everyone must have had an epidural. And I was coaching, it was actually a friend of mine, and she said, does everyone take an epidural? And this was her fourth baby. I mean, she knew what she wanted, but she just was feeling intimidated a little bit. And the midwife said, the smart ones do. So what she did is she just emotionally, I think, stalled her labor until the shifts changed. And a new midwife came in, and she was absolutely amazing. She birthed in just a couple of minutes, beautiful, amazing, natural birth, no problem. So,
amazing.
Yes,
amazing.
Only bad experience with midwives in Israel. So you've opened a service to sort of fill in with this gap in the meanwhile, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing my best. Unfortunately, my Hebrew is, I can't participate in my Hebrew social media too well. My reading and writing still leaves a bit to be desired. So I like to speak Hebrew. That's my main way of using English. But yeah, I think over the years, I feel like, over the years, like I've gotten feedback that's pretty amazing. And I feel like for not having a lot of access, I'm a little bit more isolated in the north of Israel, so I don't have as many people. Like if I were in the center, I think I would be more accessible, but okay, so that's just the way it is right now. And so I'm really thankful. I feel really blessed and honored and privileged to be able to have helped so many women from afar. A lot of these women that I feel like I've participated in their care or even been called in their labor, and hopefully helped them a great deal. I've never even met them, so it's fun. It's actually a cool way to prove that a lot of midwifery care isn't about, I mean, yeah, we talk about our heart and our hands, and, midwives feel the baby, midwives listen to the heartbeat with the fetus. We talk about all those skills and things in prenatal care, but a lot of the prenatal care process is communicating, and we can communicate through,
so you
writing.
People can sort of hire you to be able to speak to you and email and message.
Right.
Right, and get
it's like I call it like at a distance midwifery. So it's all the components of communication and connection and questioning and answering, and a lot of the information can simply be exchanged, verbally. I'll ask a woman how she's eating. Like I don't need to be sitting across from a woman to be able to adequately counsel her regarding most of the things that she needs information about. You know, talking to her about her eating, talking to her about her, you know, what testing she's going to be doing and how to prepare and how she's resting and how she's, you know, like all the different things that a midwife does, and talking to her about her history and, you know, counseling through her fears and being a sounding board for, you know, choosing a place of birth, a care provider, you know, understanding more in depth her choices, because the thing is, a woman has to make her own choices, and she can't really make choices unless she has, well, I mean, she can choose, but she can't make an educated choice unless she has the information. So where is she going to get the information? Google is very scary for a lot of women, and they want to not just be, they don't want to just read through, you know, pages of information. They want to have someone whom they trust, who they feel that knows them a bit, to be able to give them a, you know, a little bit of insight on the choices. I don't make choices for women, but they have to understand what they're actually choosing. That's one way.
Two ways that somebody could access you. If they join Ask a Midwife on Facebook, they can ask you anything.
It's a group. So really how I run it is I'm on there, I'm looking at all the posts. I'm not going in depth with each woman. And sometimes it seems like there's a woman who really genuinely needs help or wants help or desires advice or support. And those women can contact me privately, and I charge a small fee depending on where they start out in pregnancy to talk with them, you know, every couple weeks and, you know, once or twice a month. And we can do WhatsApp or Facebook in the meantime, just to get clarity and touch base. It's kind of like, you know, a midwife at a distance. And it's, you know, I have a website that's askamidwifeisrael.com, and it shows the different, you know, there's a couple different packages, and even providing like phone support in labor. I figure, you know, if women are, let's say a woman, I've had many women call me in early labor and ask me, like, and I go through it with them. I talk to them about what they're feeling and what they need to do, and I recommend things to them. And like I would to any of my my clients locally, just I'm not going to actually appear at their birth, but it really works the same way. And if we've had an opportunity if we've had an opportunity in the pregnancy to speak a lot, I feel like I'm savvy about connecting, and I think I can get a good feeling for what a woman's experiencing through long distance, through the phone or through writing even.
Absolutely, because you know somebody and they call you and say, I'm not sure if this is labor, should I go to the hospital, shouldn't I? You talk with them, I mean, that's just almost, you can't even put a price tag on that. It's so valuable. Or to say, hey, I'm in labor.
I think so.
The midwife said this. What do you think? What should I do? Because I have a choice to make. You know, it's just amazing. Wow, this is really exciting.
Right. Or let's say a woman had a baby and she went to the hospital and she spent hours and hours in labor, and she ended up having the baby, and she doesn't want to repeat that. And so let's say she calls me in labor and she has with her a doula who's going to meet her at the hospital, but she's not a doula who has, you know, years and years of experience, so she's not really sure. And she calls me and she says, you know, I don't want to be at the hospital too long, but I'm not sure if I should go in. And then she's, okay, I'm getting a contraction now, and she's like, oh, I don't know if I should go in or not. You know, I'm like, I mean, that's an easy one. But you see what I'm saying? Like, women don't always, you know, I hope that they'll trust themselves, but women don't always trust themselves, because like I said, this woman had a prior experience where she spent many hours at the hospital with a very slow first labor. And here she is having her second baby. I'm just making up a story, but it could happen. And so no, it's nice to have someone to contact.
Right, because her
That's
mind in that moment might be saying, don't go to the hospital because you'll be there forever. But
yeah, exactly.
You can tell that she's already there.
Yeah.
One of the things I've done to kind of avoid that situation is sometimes we'll go to the hospital but not check in, and we'll just walk right around the grounds, and even up to getting to the door of the labor and delivery department, and just standing right outside the door until it's time to actually go in. And it's such a cool trick.
And they hear her, the midwives hear her. They're like, they peeking out like, are you having a baby out here? No, I love Spot Hospital. It's a smaller hospital. The midwives are amazing. I was at a birth on a Sunday morning, and the midwife said, we need to do spinning babies right now. And the woman had an epidural. She was she heroically, withstood like, I don't know, 30 hours of labor, and she needed the relief. So, but closer to the birth, the midwife said we need to do the side-lying release. And when we both together, the midwife and I was her doula, the midwife and I, we together, we put her in the side-lying release position for 3 contractions on each side. It helped that baby rotate into the right position, and the baby came down. And it was so cute. The midwife even turned on her phone, and she had put on some really relaxing music. And they're just like all heart, and they're very skilled. It's a great place to work. So I feel very confident. What I do as a doula, I give my doula clients midwifery style prenatal care. Yeah. That's kind of my special package. It's not really a typical doula service, but I do, we feel the baby, we measure the baby, we listen to the baby, we talk all about preparation for birth and diet. And I even sometimes bring my clients to the hospital before, just to meet the midwives and see the natural birthing rooms. We have jacuzzis here. We have, they really treat the woman with a lot of dignity, a lot of respect. The doctors and the midwives alike, they're very, very good. And so then when the woman goes into labor, I go to her home and we see what's happening, and I'll make sure the baby sounds good, and maybe check if she has an opening, see if she's dilating, and just see what's going on, assess her and massage her. And then when it's time, we go to the hospital together, and I don't leave her until a couple hours after the birth, when she's already in the postpartum part of the hospital, and she's nursed and she's eaten and she's feeling good. I don't leave her until the very, very, when I'm sure everything is completely, she's completely stable in every way. So and that's my special kind of, so that's the way I found that I can use my midwifery skills to care for all women, no matter where they choose to birth.
We were laughing when we met because we have these parallel lives. So you're making me laugh because it's the same thing for me. I have not been practicing for a number of years. One of my children has special needs, and I've been very busy raising him. And this is sort of my way of getting back into the midwifery world and sharing the things that I think that all women in Am Yisrael should know. It's really exciting. But that's exactly what I did. I made Aliyah. I said, okay, I can't do, the midwifery model of care that I want to do, but I'm a super doula. And I would do the same thing, meet with her early in pregnancy, give her my own personal childbirth course, be with her every step of the labor, check her for dilation. I would stay with her just like our, laws would have been in America. I'd stay with her until she and the baby were settled, until I made sure that they were breastfeeding properly. Isn't that such a big deal? Oh my goodness, right?
It's huge. It's huge. None of these things can be taken for granted. Like, we just think, yeah, well, why wouldn't I help her breastfeed? Or why wouldn't I make sure she knows how to take care of her, if she has stitches, or eating, or none of the things can be taken for granted. It's all precious. It's all, I think it's all above and beyond type of thing. Oh, I wanted to just mention before I forget, I'm starting to teach doulas advanced types of skills, advanced types of, like, for all the basic training that doulas have, how to support a mom during the birth and the birth process and everything and what to expect. I feel like we could go a lot deeper to really talk about the relationship and the communication and how to, I call it doula-namics, like how to really.
We are recording the Geula Mamas show. Oh, so I was saying, so this, this recording we'll do Bezrat Hashem about, depending on how long this takes, but we'll be able to squeeze in like 10 more minutes, God willing. And
okay. All I need is just one quick minute to talk about the class, and then I did have some other things that I wanted to discuss, but we can, whatever.
I want to do about 10 more minutes because it'll be good. It'll be a good, show. I want to give information.
Yeah.
And then Bezrat Hashem, and down the road we can come back and then take one topic and like go into that deep.
Yeah.
So fun. Okay, are we done here? The bathroom door all the way. Thank you. What happened was I scheduled this, and then my husband and son were up late, so they were asleep. So I had no way to tell I was recording. Usually, if it's a little later, everybody's up.
It's a little later, right? Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. It doesn't mean everyone remembers either. Sometimes they just. All right. Yes. Okay, we are back. Hi, Chavah. What were you saying?
Hi. Okay, so I just wanted to really quickly mention that one of the things that has started for me as of recently in the last year or two is that I'm started to teach. And I've noticed that doulas, even, most doulas who've had basic training and have been practicing for, a couple years, um, I feel like they're going to really benefit from getting their knowledge. So I'm doing classes for doulas, like advanced skills, like teaching more of I call it doulanamics, which is like basically kind of birth room dynamics, interfacing with staff. I teach a lot of um, less actual hands-on skills, although I want to educate them about, I feel like it's important for them to know about emergencies and complications and kind of how to manage them, but more it's like the connection and the communication and the professionalism and how to sort of go into that birth and create a space where everyone feels connected and everyone's working together, and I'm almost like I want to give the doulas new glasses, new ways to see the whole experience that they'll really maximize. And I'm telling you this because I feel like from so many years of doing it, I've developed things that weren't taught to me, but I've learned them, and I really want to give over what I know to doulas, and I think it's incredible. The things that I've been teaching now, I have a regular in Sfat, and I got a call from a woman, a student of mine, after her first birth that she had done for a woman, after having had like about a month of classes with me. And she was like, it was a completely different birth. Like I looked at the monitor and I didn't just see the monitor. I understood what the monitor meant, and I understood what the doctors were saying, and I understood and I saw the need, and I understood what to say to the woman, and how to build her up, and how to help her feel successful, and how to interface with the doctors and the midwives. It was just amazing. So I got a lot of good feedback, and I want to go around Israel. I want to find different locations where there are groups of doulas, and I want to go in and see what their needs are, and do classes either one time or continuing regularly.
Now, these classes are physical classes or online classes?
Yeah. I would go there, and we would get a group, and we would start with one session of like a whole morning, 4 or 5 hours, and see what the needs are and see what I can do for the community. And so that's my next goal. My next short goal is just starting to create little groups of doulas in different locations in the country, and go there.
Such a big deal. It's really exciting.
It's like prenatal. I want doulas to be able to doulas are not midwives. It's something completely different, but there are elements of midwifery that doulas can appropriately use in their practices, and it's amazing. Like doulas can give a lot more prenatal contact, and it will fill in some of the gaps that women need a point person.
Also,
and if doulas,
I don't know about you, but I always go visit one day after the birth. I go visit mom and baby, make sure everything's going well.
Really important, the postpartum care.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if doulas could have a little prenatal and a little postnatal in their basket services, that would be amazing. Wow. Now, so somebody doula could call you if she has a question, right? Like through your service.
Yeah, you're asking about doulas calling me I have like a doula mentorship element to what I do. It's not an official thing, but I've had many calls from doulas, and I invite that if a woman has purchased the package and I'm kind of like her long distance midwife, I also invite her doula to call me and ask me questions. Like if she's at the birth and she wants to ask me questions, then she's more than welcome to call me. I've had women who are in Israel, and I've had their parents in America call me, and I just want to help. So and the midwifery model of care is individualized. So not all women need the same thing, and a lot of women have very diverse needs. So try to meet each person.
Amazing. We have about 5 minutes left, and I know you have a ton of things to talk about. So pick one thing.
Yeah, I have a ton of things to talk about. It's true. But one of the things that I wanted to see that you can let me know, I wanted to talk about how to set yourself up for postpartum success. Okay. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. And the other thing was kind of tips for when you're at the end, when you're coming into the end of your pregnancy, tips for setting yourself up for success in labor, and also just like I wanted to focus on either the end of pregnancy or tips on setting yourself up for postpartum. success.
Well,
Not postpartum as in depression, but postpartum as in the afterbirth period.
yeah, we're going to
What do
have
you think?
an entire show about each of
I
them.
know.
This is absolutely dear to my heart. This is amazing. So let's just start. You said about how to set yourself up for postpartum. Let's do some quick tips.
Right. Sure. Okay. So the important thing is that, well, the first thing to mention is that a lot of times the woman is looking towards the birth and she doesn't look any farther, because the birth is like an incredibly powerful, it's an incredibly powerful event, and it's also very easy to get fixated on, okay, the birth. So a lot of times when I'm with a woman, suddenly the baby's out and she's like, wait a minute, I didn't think past that part. Like, wait, what? And then she's, okay, so that's the extreme. But really, there's a lot of things that women can do prenatally in the pregnancy to prepare for postpartum. I recommend not working until the very last day of the pregnancy. I recommend things like making sure you know how you're going to manage a full week's worth of rest. What I recommend to women is that they prepare themselves for being able to just lie in bed. It's hard. It's very hard for some women, especially if you had a wonderful birth and you feel great. You want to get up and you want to do stuff. Really take it easy, but prepare yourself mentally. I'm gonna lie in the bed. I'm gonna nurse the baby. You have to make sure that people will bring you food. If you don't have a system in your community for food being brought to you, it's really important to freeze food, prepare food, whatever you need to do to.
Or if you are at all picky or sensitive, make sure you have love.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So whatever you do, you just have to know that you're going to be eating, you're going to be resting, you're going to be drinking, you're going to be you're going to not be doing any.
Another freeze in the internet.
Well, that's okay.
So you know what we're going to do, because we do have to wrap it up.
Yeah, fine. We could just do a wrap up instead of an additional.
Exactly. The technology is being a little bit shaky. So you know what, Chavah, I'm going to have you back. Maybe we'll we'll shuffle the list around, because this is so important. This is exactly what I think that women need to hear about these topics. So maybe we'll go for another show. Before we wrap up now, would you please tell us what happens if people call you and mention Geula Mamas?
Okay, great. So generally what people want to do when they first call me is they want a consultation. They want to ask me a question. They usually have something specific that they want to get information about. And then after we talk, they usually decide whether or not they actually need more care. So that initial consultation, I would like to give a discount. If you mention the Geula Mamas, that you get 25% off an initial consultation. And the initial consultation is 100 shekel. It's usually about an hour on the phone. And I'd like to give a 25% discount on that. And I'd like to give, yay! I'd like to also, you were going to pick a random person out of a a proverbial hat, or maybe a real hat. And I would like to give that person a free half an hour phone consultation.
Oh my goodness.
Or they can give it to someone else, meaning like they don't have to use it themselves, but they can give it to someone in their life who they want to bless with that help and support.
And they can also save it. I mean, they don't have to use it now. They can.
No, they don't have to use it now. I'm anywhere in the world. I'm available. So
amazing.
The wonder of technology. Yeah.
Let me see who won that. An hour of free talking with you. That is so worth it. Oh my gosh. Jessica Friedman. Yay! Well, Jessica. Woo! And now it is
I'm hearing from you.
We're going to give away Geula Mamas magnets. Oh my goodness. Here. Okay. So from the Ayelet Shwell show, she has had so many amazing things to say. She talked about voice, choice, power, and support. So we have a magnet to remind you.
I love that.
Choice, power, and support. Those are the ways that if you're feeling traumatized by anything that happened in a previous birth, or even I was talking to my teenagers about this. I'm like, look at this. If your high school teacher has taken away your voice, choice, power, or support, you might feel traumatized. How can we go back and help you find those and get through that trauma? It was an amazing show. If you haven't heard it, I suggest going back and listening to what Ayala had to say. That's one magnet, and that is going to, let's see who gets that magnet. Adina Ackerman. Yay, Dina. And then we have a Geula Mamas affirmation magnet. I am so precious. Hashem loves me more than I can ever imagine. Oh, it's so true. Hashem created each of us. I once saw a billboard with this little boy, like an inner city type of boy. I was driving on the highway, and it said, "God don't make no junk." And
I love that.
right? And it's like I'm so precious. And when I'm not feeling precious, I want a reminder of that. So Ariella Kaplan Menlowitz is getting a Geula Mamas magnet. These magnets come in snail mail, right? I sent a picture the other day how I'm wrapping them up with a wrapping paper and sending them through the mail. How often do you get something actually physically that you can hold through the mail today?
Really fun.
It makes me very happy. It makes me very excited. All right, well, that is a wrap. So
Well, thank
I
you so
want
much
you
for
to go
having me.
forth and have a great day. And remember that I love you. Kisses and hugs. And goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.